2 fun days in a row. You come into Discord with fresh fun ideas, only to then hop on stream, do none of that shit. Wait, what are you talking about? This is exactly what I wanted to do today. Watching like the betrayal of the German Revolution, like longer videos like this, longer video essays like this is exactly what I wanted to do on a Saturday. That's not a joke. When I said I wanted to like potentially look into red pillars and stuff like that, this is what I meant. I meant like we want to watch maybe I literally said video essays. I want to watch more video essays. I think this is great. It's educational. It's something that I can very quickly turn back to, contemporary political analysis. This is valuetainment, baby.
Revolution, the quote, Council of People's Commissars. It sounded just revolutionary enough, proclaiming Germany a socialist republic and declaring that all power lies with the councils. Of course, this government was everything but revolutionary. The chief aim of Hase and Dittmann, who were chosen from the USPD, was to reunite social democracy, not revolution. Liebknecht was offered a spot, but he refused, realizing that he would be held back by the non-revolutionary majority. And he was right to think that. Emil Barth, associated with the left wing of the independents, did not have the strength to do so. Linked with the so-called People's Commissars were expert advisors, who were usually members of the bourgeois parties, making sure the quote, socialists unquote, left untouched the state apparatus of the old empire. What this meant was shown within a few days when the ostensibly revolutionary government expelled the embassy of Russia. So, Friedrich Ebert was now Chancellor of the Reich and People's Commissar. He was now at the same time a leader of the revolutionary government and head of the old legal government. The right outmaneuvered the left on this decisive day. However, this defeat needs to be put in context. The right had more resources, a well-established party machine, and the imperial staff on their side. They had the support of the ruling classes both within and outside Germany. This is the challenge all socialist revolutionaries face. The revolutionary veneer of the counter-revolutionaries worked. They were able to fool the workers, for now at least. On the same day the so-called revolutionary government had formed, Marshal Hindenburg sent out a message that the decision has been made to collaborate with Chancellor Ebert to, quote, avert the spread of terrorist Bolshevism in Germany. This was the so-called Gröner-Ebert Pact. Years later, when Quartermaster General of the German Army, Wilhelm Gröner, had to defend himself against right-wing critics, he said, quote, the officer corps could only cooperate with the government which undertook the struggle against Bolshevism. Ebert had made up his mind on this. We made an alliance against Bolshevism. There existed no other party which had enough influence upon the masses to enable the re-establishment of a government power with the help of the army. The whole state apparatus remained thus intact. This is why Marx insisted in his writings about the Paris Commune that, quote, the precondition for every real people's revolution is not to transfer the bureaucratic military machine from one hand to another, but to smash it. The explanation of Social Democrat commentators that the MSPD was stuck in a dilemma and had no choice but to collaborate with the imperial forces is particularly funny. Already on the previous day, Ebert ordered all state officials to keep their posts. All personnel, including all the high functionaries of the imperial regime, remained in their positions. And, more importantly, the economic power of the bourgeoisie was left untouched. There were economic reforms that were promised, such as limiting the working day to 8 hours. However, those were necessary concessions to appease the striking workers in order to protect private property and undermine the Marxists' appeal. Only days later, representatives of the bourgeoisie signed a deal with the trade unions to form a so-called community of labor to accept some of the workers' demands. Brouet quotes one liberal commentator who would say that the agreement achieved one important thing, quote, it forms a strong bulwark against any attempt to overthrow our social system by violence. The German bourgeoisie used their capital, their media, their connections, and various other means to wage war against the revolutionaries, all with the help of the Social Democrats, of course. They created the Anti-Bolshevik Center with immense funding to print hundreds of thousands of leaflets, sometimes even calling for murder against the Spartakists and their Bolshevik terror, their chaos against the Jews and Bloody Rosa. They then formed the more powerful Anti-Bolshevik League, who would openly call for the murder of Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht, and which had its own intelligence service, or as its founder would call it, a quote, active anti-communist counter-espionage organization. The funding for bourgeois media far overshadowed the funding for independent media, which was composed of the contributions of working people. Of course, the government agencies were dominated by counter-revolutionaries as well. Ebert appointed his son as the head of one such agency. The other important organ of class rule are the armed forces, and the High Command had still lots of it. They intended to use it against the armed workers. Because they feared a Bolshevization of Germany from the First General Congress of Workers' and Soldiers' Councils, which was to convene on December 16th, Ebert and General Gröner ordered troops to Berlin on the 15th to prevent this gathering and to regain control of the capital. Gröner told in a court years later that Ebert was in agreement with sending troops into Berlin to disarm the Spartakists. However, the discipline of their field army was breaking down. Many soldiers became swayed by the so-called Bolshevik agitators. Tired of the World War, they had enough of the military discipline. It wasn't clear to them what they were fighting for, and the coup attempt failed. Still, many were killed during that attempt, further radicalizing the workers of Berlin. Without the People's Army, the people have nothing, Mao Zedong famously said a few years later. The revolutionary left, of course.
Bro, I can't consistently be charitable to you. Okay? Think about the negotiations. It's been exactly what Israel actually wants, which is to kill as many Palestinians as possible. Numbers are one thing, but statements and talks and negotiations taken from the known liars. I'm good with the fact that you heard that out and appreciate the response. The fast pace of the chat makes comments at energy level 2. I need someone with a mind with knowledge of the situation to at least look into the facts. This media we've seen for a reason tells a story. Don't sit there and just say, that's crazy. You're better than that. Just give some thought. I hate this. Like, I hate this, like, smarmy fucking attitude that is coming from you. You refuse to fucking mention a singular moment. You refuse to mention a singular moment of disagreement. You did not give a single fucking instance of disagreements. And now you're just like, you've moved into condescension. All the while, I've been so fucking charitable. What is happening? Why are you so patronizing? What do you mean you're better than this? You need to tell me what I need to be better than, instead of just, again, vaguely gesturing at vibes. It's very, very frustrating.
Understood this and called for the formation of a Red Guard, which was passed on November 12th by the executive branch of Berlin councils, but was dropped again after the pressure of the right wing. But there was one armed force the revolutionaries had, which was the security force that had been formed by Emil Eichhorn, who had seized the police headquarters in Berlin. With government forces leaving and Eichhorn controlling the police in Berlin, the ruling classes had to come up with something else. Using funding from big business, Prussian Social Democrat Minister of the Interior Otto Wels created the Republican Soldiers Corps. Among the corps recruiters was a man named Colin Ross, who was later a supporter of Hitler. They would soon clash with the revolutionaries, but they still weren't antagonistic enough. Yes, they were against the Spartakists, but many of them still wanted socialism and hated the old state. They would show themselves not reliable enough for Ebert and the High Command. A more vicious anti-communist right-wing force was needed. There were still thousands of soldiers who identified with the ruling class and the old state. On December 22nd, the Social Democrats in government agreed that Imperial General Georg Merker should organize a highly paid proto-fascist mercenary force called the Freikorps. The Freikorps, for those of you who don't know, were notorious for being connected to the Nazi Party some years later, with many of them joining the SA or SS. Many of the Nazi Party leaders were part of the Freikorps, such as Rudolf Höss or the later leader of the SS, Heinrich Himmler. It's almost funny when liberal commentators describe this period in German history as the time when the left irreparably split. I think it's fairly easy to argue that this was not a fight between the moderate left and the radical left. It was the right wing versus the left wing, capitalism versus socialism. The reactionary Freikorps were not fully ready yet to go in and murder communists. For now, the ruling class had to rely on these shaky government forces who were against the communists, but not with sufficient determination the ruling classes required. Those government forces were deployed on what people later called Ebert's Bloody Christmas. The People's Marine Division, who was stationed at the heart of Berlin's government buildings in the Imperial Palace, had been an issue of contention throughout the German Revolution. Like other sailors and soldiers, they too were at risk of joining the revolution. This was not something the government could afford, so they tried to disperse the sailors by withholding their pay. The sailors reacted by holding Social Democrat leader Otto Wels hostage on December 23rd until they received their pay. Ebert exploited this situation and ordered pro-government troops to storm the Schloss. However, many civilians sympathetic to the revolution joined the fight, and by midday, the sailors had won, with about 70 people killed. This was devastating for the Social Democrats, not only in terms of men lost, but now even the Social Democrat-dominated Berlin executive of the councils condemned the
This is the fundamental problem, okay, with reformist versus revolutionary actions. Okay, when push comes to shove, do you side with fascists and the rest of the liberal capitalism defenders, or do you engage with the revolutionary trade unionists, socialists, and communists? No, there is no hatred for the Social Democrats. I'm not showing this to you to be like, yeah, this is why Social Democrats fucking suck. Okay? Because ultimately, the revolutionary wing also came from democratic socialism and social democracy. Like those who thought that they were engaging in reform in an honest way. Okay? And there are pivot points. There are, I guess, hinge points, to use the term that Matt Christman also has utilized. There are moments in time when things happen and there's like a supposed fissure. At least from the perspective, like this is a tiny microcosm of a much broader sentiment, a much broader historical moment. But there are points in time when people look at a situation and decide, no, actually, you know what? I do think that like American empire is better. I like what is going on. I don't want to resist. I want to resist change. I am fearful of change. I do not care as much about the many victims, the millions, the untold victims of our current neoliberal order. As long as I can get hamburger and PlayStation 5 at a, in a timely manner whenever I choose to consume such things. And many people, personally, many people choose order. And order, given the inherent contradictions that have to exist under capitalism, means order through force, order through fascism. L take. Okay. Well, I guess L take. What I don't understand is that the German masses went from being so pro-trade unions to socialists to shred of fascism in such a short period of time. Suppression. Suppression, co-optation of socialism, unifying under a charismatic leader at a time of tremendous economic instability. All of this stuff is happening as a consequence of volatility. People's needs are not met. They're angry. The alternative is squashed, physically, violently squashed. And what remains is a co-opted, safe, docile, aesthetically progressive movement. Or I guess in that situation, socialist, aesthetically, in name only. Utilizing the popular sentiment of giving power back to the workers, you launch a campaign of fascism.
Attack. Power was slipping away. They did not even have the manpower to stop thousands of revolutionaries to seize the paper forwards on that day. Even worse, now the independents resigned from the government out of fear of losing support in Berlin, which was now more and more isolating the Social Democrats. It seemed like the revolution regained the high point of November 9th and was close to seizing state power. But there was one problem. The Freikorps were ready, and they could exploit the great weakness of the revolutionary movement: its disorganization. On the 30th December of 1918, the Spartakists finally broke with the USPD and formed, together with the left radicals, the Communist Party of Germany. It was the first mass-based communist party outside the Soviet Union, and the Soviet leaders had great hopes for it. This was long overdue, according to Pierre Drouet. The revolutionary situation was highly developed, but had suffered a great lack of one coherent plan and organization, which a genuinely communist party can provide, as seen in Russia a year earlier, and soon in China and in many other places around the world. The Spartacus League was not powerful enough to provide a disciplined base to the quickly growing ranks of revolutionary soldiers and workers. A large section of the masses on the streets still mostly associated the USPD with a genuine socialist force. Most of them were not quite aware of the contradictory trends within that party. The constitution of the KPD was happening amidst a situation of great revolutionary confusion. One of the main obstacles in the party formation came from the international communists, and specifically from Johann Knief, who was against uniting with the Spartakists because he hadn't forgotten how they didn't want to separate from the USPD. He believed the formation of a Bolshevik party was the right thing, but it shouldn't include Luxembourg and her supporters, who were alien to the Bolshevik spirit according to him. But the majority of the IKD decided for uniting with the Spartakists at a conference in mid-December. Within the Spartakists, there was also great disagreement about the party formation. Luxembourg and Jogichas were against forming an independent party at least until the next USPD Congress. But Luxembourg let herself be convinced by the international communist leader from the Soviet Union named Karl Radek, who carried the prestige of the October Revolution with him. After the independents rejected a call by Rosa Luxemburg for a
Bernie Sanders
special meeting following the Bloody Christmas, she had enough. And 112 delegates came together in Berlin to found the KPD in a 3-day conference over New Year's in the Festsaal of the Prussian Landtag in Berlin. 83 delegates came from the Spartacus League, and 29 from the International Communists of Germany. Karl Liebknecht held the opening speech with a hard tone. He criticized the, quote, mechanistic, unquote, conception which had guided the leadership until now, and condemned the, quote, failure to understand the supreme importance of mass action itself and overestimation of bureaucratic, parliamentary, and other activities. He continued, quote, we joined the USPD in order to drive forward through our efforts all those who could be driven, in order to make the best elements advance, and to unite them in order to win over the largest possible revolutionary forces, and to organize them in a single revolutionary proletarian party. It was a labor of Sisyphus. He called for an immediate break and the creation of a new party. Various names were discussed. Luxembourg wanted the name to be the Socialist Party, not the Communist Party, in order to salvage some spheres of unity between the parties of the Second International and the Bolsheviks. Her proposal was rejected. The name Communist Party of Germany, Spartacus, won out. Then Radek spoke and proclaimed, quote, German social democracy is dead. It was once the authority throughout the world. It now has no more authority. Then came the turn of Paul Levy, who would soon become the leader of the Communist Party after the murder of Luxembourg and Liebknecht, and he would speak about a topic that would become a major issue for the communists. He declared, quote, the road to the victory of the proletariat can pass only over the corpse of the National Assembly. However, shortly afterward he added, quote, despite all that, we propose to you that we do not stand aside from the elections to the National Assembly. Luxembourg agreed with Levy. None of the delegates were under the illusion that socialism can be brought about by parliamentary means, as those supposed socialists of the Second International thought. It was about whether it would be productive or counterproductive to use the National Assembly as a platform to break illusions among workers. The MSPD had called for a Constituent National Assembly to be convened as soon as possible, while the USPD and the Spartacus League wanted socialism based on the existing structure of workers' and soldiers' councils. So there was a sort of a dual power situation in Germany at the end of 1918, with the councils still having a far more powerful base. But Ebert's role as Chancellor of Germany and as a leader of the Council of People's Representative reflected how the old SPD reformist institutions had still great influence in both structures competing for power. The majority of the delegates were unimpressed by the arguments put forth by those who wanted to participate in the National Assembly. Only 6 days earlier, they had witnessed the humiliations of Ebert's government to crush the sailors in Berlin. Otto Rühle insisted, quote, we have other tribunes. The street is the great tribune that we have conquered and that we will not abandon, even if they shoot at us. Elections were an unnecessary distraction, he explained, saying the communists are done with, quote, compromises and opportunism. In the end, the Congress accepted Rühle's counter-proposal to not take part in the elections. Luxembourg's position tracked with Lenin's at the time, to use the parliament as a platform, not as a vehicle for real change. However, it surely didn't mean that Luxembourg was a proponent of bourgeois democracy as today's social democrats and Euro-communists like to paint her. Luxembourg's legacy is constantly being opportunistically revised and demarcated from, quote, authoritarian, unquote, communism in order to salvage liberal democratic institutions. In 1918, Rosa Luxemburg wrote about the National Assembly, quote, "What is gained, then, with this cowardly detour called the National Assembly? The bourgeoisie's position is strengthened, the proletariat is weakened and confused by empty illusions. Time and energy are dissipated and lost in discussions between the wolf and the lamb. In a word, one plays into the hands of all those elements whose intent is to defraud."
Oh, shit. Look what the cat dragged in, dude. No, it's not Murat. It's Mr. Show. He's saying, don't make fun of my pants. Let me see your pants. Oh, that's disgusting. Oh, you freak. He's wearing tights again. He's apologizing for wearing tights, but we know as a matter of fact his lies that he says he has nothing left. Yeah. He's relapsed. He's wearing tights again. He's wearing his tighty whities again. Big time derail. Yeah, we're going to pause it here. We're going to pause it here because I'm going to move on to the real revolutionary activity, which is, of course, playing Rust. That's right. We have a bunch of other YouTube videos lined up as well that I will get to either tomorrow or later today. Make Austin watch Theory. Yeah. We're playing Rust Kingdoms, ladies and gentlemen. There are numerous groups, including the Rocket League, which is comprised of Buddha. I don't even want to look in that direction. I myself am a part of a revolutionary squadron alongside my fave, QT Cinderella. Hold on. I think I did it. Connecting to the server. As you guys know, going forward, Hassan Piker is dead. That's right. A new man is returning to town. A new man by the name of Hank Pecker. A man with dreams. I'll be aligning myself with QT Cinderella, Iron Mouse, and that goddamn British Welshman. Connor Dog, Veterans Affairs, brother. Two women. Yuck. What is happening here? We got asset warm up. Them assets are warming up. I haven't played this goddamn game in years. Have no goddamn clue what it looks like nowadays. I heard that they changed the AK spray pattern. You gotta say QT Cinderella. They better be preparing my jalapeno poppers. That's what I need. Oops. Turned on the wrong thing. Just realized just now I could have shown you that dang Austin's horrible pants. How does this event work? I heard somewhere you have your own kingdom or something. I'm not gonna lie, I have absolutely no goddamn clue. I didn't even know you can make underwater bases in this game. I thought we weren't playing Subnautica. I thought we were playing a different game. Currently, the players that are on board on the on this universe are the likes of Hold on now. Got to change my game to Rust. For the record, you will have drops. The best the best, most exclusive drops. Loading, cleaning up. Warming prefabs. I hope this is only because this is the first time I'm getting into the game. That's why there's so many goddamn loading screens up in this bitch. I am sleeping. Honk shoe. Me. Motherfucker. V is to talk and he's to pick things up, by the way. Will forgot when he first started today. Yeah. I'm up. Oh my God. What the hell is that back there? Oh shit. Wait. What the hell happened to my dick? Hold on now. Wait, how do we do inventory? What the hell? Why can't I see my goddamn dick? Oh, I got a rock. Okay. Free drugs here. Where the drugs at? Where the hell are the drugs? God damn you! That goddamn thing up there just seemingly standing on its own. Wait, what if I made my way over there? Oh shit. I just realized I'm not feeling